What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Lurker, back with another video. This time, we're checking out Jubilee's video. Did slavery affect your family? Africans versus African Americans. Middle ground. Uh, we're just gonna hop straight into this. I'm gonna roll the intro, but I figured this would be a good video to watch, especially since I am African American myself. I'll try to answer um, whatever the prompts from the video are to the best of my ability, whether I agree or disagree. All right, three, two, one, go.
I'm so happy, happy-go-lucky me. I just go my way, living every day. I don't
better my life. And I feel like personally, we need to stop using the word racism when we don't get something or when something don't go our way. And just
Let me
keep
jump
trying.
in real quick. No disrespect, but racism exists, and I have to acknowledge it. And I can't just ignore it, but what I can do is not buy into the system.
Step forward if you agree. Slavery
Just wanted to point out that I don't like this whole Africans versus African Americans. I mean, I understand the premise of the show. It's not really which is better than the other. It's just one group of people with another group of people. Now, the first prompt is slavery affected my family. Did it? Not my immediate family, because, I was born in 89. Um, let's see what they have to say. I'm very curious to hear what the Africans, like what they have to say.
affected my family.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, it
that's just
affected,
evident in
like,
my last name, King. I mean, that's
yeah, my old
the
family.
brand of the slave owner that put that name on my family all those years ago, and I'm still wearing it in those ways, along with the compounded, economic disparity, social disparity, mental trauma, all of that. I mean, it's tethered forever.
So to go back to slavery and talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, it has never stopped. So there is no post. What my great-grandparents were teaching my grandparents, who taught my mother, who taught me, came from what they learned through slavery. So there's a lot of fear, a lot of insecurity, a fear of society, a fear of law enforcement. So slavery has made a major impact where the low self-esteem is consistently.
I can kind of see how, I mean, most African Americans should say that slavery affected their family. Maybe not them or their parents, but, you know, most likely grandparents, great great grandparents. Um, my grandparents aren't from America, so uh, I'm not sure. I one day I'll try that ancestry DNA thing where you send in your DNA and then they tell you what your DNA is made up of. I mean, I know most of mine is black, but I'm a little light skinned compared to some of my other brothers in this video, brothers and sisters.
Reoccurring. I think for me, growing up in Los Angeles, California in the early 1960s, there was a stereotype that I didn't want to be black. I didn't want to be African because we come from Africa or we're slaves. So I want to be a Chinese boy. I want to be Bruce Lee. So growing up like that, I didn't like myself and who I was. I didn't like the color of my skin or the way that I spoke. So I emulated other people. I want to be something that.
I was the exact same way when I grew up. You know, you guys probably seen on my channel already that I grew up loving anime. I mean, I'm even wearing an anime shirt. So when I was a child, I used to wish that I was Japanese. That's a true story. I didn't hate the fact that I was black. I just I loved playing MMO RPG games because I could shape my character the way I wanted to be shaped. Sometimes I make a character black or whatever. I don't hate black people. I just when I was a kid, this is how my brain was. I just preferred if I was Japanese.
I was
So I
not.
I
It's
I
very
kind of
saddening when you
resonate with
can
that
literally
fact.
only go back a couple generations and then it's like the documents just don't exist. There's no record. It's like, my family has completely been
Never even
erased.
thought about
In that
that.
same
That's
point
crazy.
too, in the time that we've been here, we've created an incredible culture and we have so many things to be proud of. And I always reframe the narrative myself and I speak of my ancestors that were enslaved as, doctors and healers. And it's like, we were taken because we were talented,
Right.
because we had skills to offer. And we built this country, so,
And still building.
and still building. And that's something to take pride in, so.
Can they disagree a step forward?
Slavery didn't affect my family, but we did suffer a different type of slavery back home. Like we went through colonization. Like I am Bamileke. There was a massacre of Bamileke. You guys can like look it up. They killed like more than 300.
The Bamileke War is the name of the independence struggle between Bamileke, Cameroon's nationalist movement, and France. Ooh. The movement was spearheaded by the Cameroonian People's Union, UPC. Even after independence, the rebellion continued, shaping contemporary politics. The war began with riots in 1955 and continued after Cameroon gained independence in 1960.
Thousand of my people because we didn't want to assimilate to the French culture. But it's still nothing compared to what you guys' ancestor like been through, you know?
I wouldn't want to minimize that pain, though. What you just said hurt me. That 300,000 people were killed because they would not conform to the colonization of the French people. So that is just as painful and hurtful as the trauma that we suffered here in America.
I can't share the same experience that you have went through and your family. Even though we also had our own type of slavery, we had apartheid at the time, where the Dutch people took over and they wanted to just have South Africa, Namibia, and I think other countries where we could only just speak Dutch. It's somehow still happening even now. There's like a place in South Africa where it's called Orania, and it's just Dutch people there. No black person is even allowed there. So we still somehow feel that oppression even now, but it's nothing compared to what your ancestral history, has gone through. I'm somehow happy that you guys have forgiven it, even though you haven't forgotten it. Have you forgiven it? I mean, like your face, like.
Do that. But me personally, no, I haven't. But I want to work through the change. But no, I have not forgiven because it's a system that's still going on. And from what I'm hearing from you guys, there's a system that's still going on in Africa as well, and it's.
Um, I kind of disagree with that. A lot of people say that there is systemic racism and whatnot, but I like think about that. Like, what does that actually mean? Systemic racism? That there's things in place that are racist against black people in America in 2022? You know, I'd have to disagree with that. Obviously, racism still exists, but that racism exists in individual people, not in systems. If those systems are ran by racist people, then the system isn't inherently racist. It's those people that are racist. And we, the people, get to elect who we want representing us in Congress. So if things aren't working the way you want them to work, you have to get out there and you have to be the change. You can't just sit off on the sideline and then just be like, yeah, woe is me, the world sucks, blah blah blah. No, you have to actually change it.
It's a war on us.
Racism is the main cause of poverty among black people in America.
No,
Racism is a very big issue that
I don't think racism is the main cause of poverty. I believe poverty, whether it's black, Hispanic, Asian, or even white. There are white people suffering poverty. To be to be suffering from poverty is a mindset. Like money isn't racist, and to make more money, you don't have to compete against racism. There are plenty of black-owned businesses out there that are thriving. It's just that for some reason, you know, we just have this victim mentality, but we have to break through that. Let's see what else I gotta say.
Talking about it, I'm really trying to be careful to not like say anything that will be insensitive. If opportunity is right here, they will give it to people of other race than African American and Africans too. So if there's a job that maybe have math requirement, I feel like they'll pick an Asian person, or they believe, oh, African Americans will not dress appropriate, so they will pick another person. They will always like pick people that are not black over people that are black.
And I also think, I think the crucial like missing.
I just wanted to add in there that racism, now that I'm thinking about it, like watching this video, it's got to be the dumbest thing. It's got to be like your IQ level is about 10 if you're racist. Because what's the point of being racist? We're all humans. We all live on planet Earth. There's no point in separating everybody based on the color of their skin or the country that they're from. We're humans. This is our planet. We we have to be better. That's all I'm gonna say. Someone might say something racist in the comments below, and I won't turn the comments off. I don't care. I don't care that there's people out there that hide behind a keyboard and want to be racist over the internet, thinking that it's gonna somehow make themselves feel better, but in reality, they just hate themselves so much that they have to take that hate out on other people.
Point when we talk about economic disparity, time is the most valuable currency. And if you have like a stock that's like the American dream is the stock, and during all that time, all that asset, the American dream was appreciating, and you're not allowed to take out business loans, you're not allowed to read, you're not allowed to write, you have to first fight to become 3/5 of a citizen, then you got Jim Crow, and then you got everything else. It's like you're now having to buy in at a price so high because the time is irreparable. You can't get that back. One black person today cannot, in one lifetime, achieve what generations of white families were able to do simply because they didn't have to compete with us to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you totally.
Yeah, I was thinking, just like you said, from a historical standpoint, we start with slavery, then that's centuries, generations of stolen labor, like you said. Then we get into Jim Crow, which is just an extension of that. Then we have redlining, we have mass incarceration, we have events like the bombing of Tulsa and Rosewood in Florida, and all these different examples of our wealth being decimated. And I don't say that to come from a defeatist or a victim mindset, but I think if we just have an honest conversation about history and what we've gone through when we've been here, racism is definitely a big part of that. And there are a lot of successful Black Americans, a lot of millionaires, a lot of business owners, but they're exceptions for sure for a reason. And there's a big difference between income and wealth. I would like to challenge the ideal that African Americans are lazy or that we don't have a good work ethic. I think there's this perception that, we're here, we're in America, how are we not doing better for ourselves? So.
Black people really were lazy.
I thought I was going to be the
Why
only
would
one
white people
staying. I
want
was
us
going to be like,
be
oh, I'm
white?
about to be like Kanye West. But okay, there's a lot of things we can use as an excuse to hold us back, to not to reach our potential. But it's up to us to look past that. Like me coming from Africa, I came here to better my life, my family. I'm the only one here. And since I have been here, there's a lot of bad things that happen to me. There's also a lot of good things that happen to me. Us African or African American, we need to look past racism and just focus on our own goal. Like, what do we want to achieve? We need to stop using the word racism when we don't get something or when something don't go our way, and just keep trying.
Morgan Freeman said it perfectly. He said, the reason why racism still exists is because we keep talking about it. I just
Let
wanted
me
to
jump
add
in
that.
real quick. No disrespect, but racism exists, and I have to acknowledge it. And I can't just ignore it, but what I can do is not buy into the system. You know, if I want to do something, let me be the entrepreneur. What I believe happened in the 1960s is that we started looking for equal rights, to be equal with other people. And what we stopped doing, and I heard you talk about Tulsa, we stopped using the black-owned businesses. Now, because you guys got to understand, the Fair Housing Act in 1968, I'm 5 years old. That's when we could move off the east side of LA and move into other subcultures. So what I wanted to do at 8 years old was go to IHOP. I didn't want to go to the Ma and Pa restaurant anymore. I wanted to go to, let's go eat at the hotels. So what we did is stop supporting each other and started supporting corporate America. So the racism plays a major part, but we don't have to buy into it.
I've been waiting to disagree with you, my brother. I'm waiting patiently. The thing is, even though I want to disagree with you, I get where you're coming from. When I see black people talking about racism, all that stuff, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? You guys have food, you have EBT, all this thing, and you're here shouting about somebody is racist too. Just leave that person and move on. I feel that way. Like, why are they always like complaining? But when Black Lives Matters started happening, like, I sat down, I said, I need to actually know why these people are pained. And if we look at the history, what they've done to them, like if you actually sit down, watch some documentaries, how they were maltreated, I don't think if I'm actually born, I will forgive those people. I don't care. It's easier for us Africans that were raised in Africa to feel like they're complaining because we were raised through struggle. Like I barely even have water, and you have water, you're complaining. But then it's not about the basic necessity or about how we are raised. We are raised like, I don't want to say way better. We might not have resources, but there's some way, like our own people will not look down on us or put us behind. So it's in their nurture that way. Like they just can't overlook it. And if you sit down and watch everything that the forefathers have been through for real, I changed my mind. No, they need to be angry. However, they should still move forward.
I mean, we have police brutality back home too.
True.
We have, like, if you go to Cameroon and then you see how the police officer treat us and they're black just like us, you're not even gonna believe it. You know, and in Cameroon we have this. Have you guys heard of the word like tribalism? So
yeah, it happens in Nigeria.
Yeah, so we do get oppressed too. And
I agree.
So when I'm saying like we need to like look past that, I'm not saying forget what happened to you guys or me. At the end of the day, we cannot just sit and just grieve on the past. We have to be able to move on, but not forget. If I could choose a place to live, it would obviously be my country. I love my country, but right now, my country is not the best choice for me. There's a little genocide going on in Cameroon right now. So many innocent lives are being taken. If I was still in my country, the opportunity that I have here, I would not have those opportunities there.
Hip-hop reinforces stereotypes about the black community.
Do I agree with that?
In South Africa, we have our own version of hip-hop, so we call it kwaito. So they would rap in our own language, we call it vernac. So back home, it kind of did reinforce some stereotypes because now when you go out in the world, people will just classify you under one group. And growing up, also looking at American entertainment, looking at the hip hop that's done here, I'm like, oh, well, you're rapping about drugs, you're rapping about this. Of course it's going to happen. Of course you're going to go to jail. But getting older, you see the culture as well of hip hop. I had to understand that there's a culture within that.
I was alive when hip hop started, and it was during a time where people rapped about what they saw, what they wanted in life. And then it became where people rapped about what they had been through, what they had gotten over, you know, used to sell drugs, used to hurt people, but now this is who they are. And I think it's gotten into now, and in our day and age now, it's where people are glorifying and wanting to pretend that these are the things that they do on a daily basis when it's not. So it went from storytelling to now really it's truly storytelling, but it's unhealthy for our culture.
I don't want to on my radio and all I'm hearing is, I put a bullet in it, something. Like, I'm like, eh? That's what you people do? No, like, and then it's like, it's all about like talking about female body type, the booty, the thing, like don't talk about my booty like that. So I don't want to listen to something that portray me as a female that way, or something that is talking about how you put bullets in my head. Like if you actually do not come to America and see for yourself, you will think that most African Americans are carrying guns around and they just shoot randomly, or they just grab your ass or something like that. That's the way the music portray them. And music is a very important element in our society because it influences a lot of people, both youngs and adults.
I like to think about a lot of hip hop, like the hip hop that she's talking about, the drugs and you know, talking about women, their butts and whatnot. Like I think that's just the vibe. It's just a vibe. That's why people follow that type of music. It's the vibe. It sounds good in a club. It sounds good at a house party. You know, you got the. It's mainly the beat. Usually, it's the beat that people are paying more attention to than the lyrics, because they're dancing to it. Most of, I bet, I guarantee you, there are a bunch of hip hop songs out there that talk about like violence and all that stuff that people don't even realize that that's what the song is about. You know, and of course, there's also the good hip hop, like Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole. You know, the lyricists. I mean, Eminem, he used to rap about drugs and stuff when he was going through it, but then he got sober, and I mean, he raps about different stuff now.
Adult, and then they kind of see all those stuff and they act like that, even though that's not what they really want to be. They act like that and behave like that. Like if all these rappers are your role model, then you want to be like them. You want to be cool too. So in the end, it's about like the people that are packaging the music, and sometimes it's about trend. Is what people want to hear.
The American dream is only for white people.
I don't agree with that.
I believe that the American dream is only for white people because it says equal. And when we talk about equal, there's no equality between the 1%, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Trumps, and the people who really run the media and things of that nature. So for black people growing up in America and living in America, we could become rich, we could become wealthy, but we are not on the equal playing field of white America. The system of white supremacy, which is in the law enforcement, which is in the judicial system, which is in the prison industrial association, also in the politics. We are not equal in any of those terms.
When I was back there and when you were speaking, I started thinking like, could we ever actually, as black people, have the American dream here in America? And I don't know if we really can, I'm trying to be careful with my words, but I do think there needs to be a degree of
It's a mindset. It's a mindset. The American dream, it's just that. It's a dream. Anybody can make a dream become reality. And for them to sit here and say that the only people that the American dream is for white people, that's just not correct at all. Because American doesn't mean white. Most white people in America came from Europe, so they're European. American is a melting pot of all sorts of races. And that's what I believe that the American dream is about. Even though the founding fathers were racist and had slaves, they if they were alive today, they probably would say that, well, it would probably freak them out seeing black people on TV and stuff, but you know, when they wrote the Constitution and all the all of our laws, when we established ourselves separate from Great Britain, and we were like, no, the 13 colonies, we're gonna be our own people. And I believe that's what the American dream is freedom. And in America, we're as free as we'll ever be. There's no more amount of freedom us black people can attain. The only thing we can do is change a little bit of things. I mean, there's affirmative action and all that stuff, which affirmative action, if you think about it, most people that qualify for affirmative action are white women, I believe. I mean, that might be outdated news, but you know, let's see what they got to say. I went off on a tangent. I got ADHD.
Separatism, like black people, we really need to have our own to fully take part in that dream.
This is their system.
Yeah.
Why would we dream of being equal in a system that wasn't designed for us?
The American dream, at least the way that I define it, is, freedom of opportunity, freedom to choose what I want to do, freedom to acquire wealth the same way that anybody else can. Obviously, we're fighting the tides of time on that and our circumstances, but it's hard because it's hard to honor that, but then also want more for myself. And I think that as black people, we're always teeter-tottering on that line of like, well, am I American? Like, do I get the American dream, or do we just tear all this down and build something new? White people are not the only people entitled to the American dream ever. Yeah. And I think that that's why we're all here, because our ancestors made it so that we can stand here and pursue that American dream.
I wouldn't have been here if it meant that it was not for everyone. I wouldn't have even entered America. I feel like not just African, but other people as well in different countries. And from what I have seen, I've seen other people, even Africans and African Americans, succeeding in their own way. And that's why I feel like you said, you can interpret the American dream in a different way, whatever industry or whatever it is that you're focusing on, because there is a level of opportunity there. There is some way that you can be successful. Talking about Trevor Noah, who took over The Daily Show, it wouldn't have been possible for him coming in as an African. He got his American dream. It made us as well, other Africans, believe that it is possible.
The American dream writes his check. So he gets to have wealth or whatever it is that he's experiencing, but the American dream is the one who writes his check, not him.
I don't agree with that.
I agree with you. But do you see how we would put it as he had his...
The American dream isn't the person that's writing checks. The American dream is just being free. If you had your own plot of land with your own house, and you had like a well to get water, and then maybe you paid for utilities like electric and trash and sewage or whatever, that, to me, that's the American dream. And then you got a family, whether you're heterosexual or or not, whether you have a same-sex partner or opposite sex partner, or you're just single. You have kids. Some people don't want kids. That's what the American dream is. It's all it is freedom. That's how I see it, anyway.
American dream, even though someone writes his check. But for him, or for some of us looking at it on the other side, that's his American dream, because his goal was to get there. The biggest cultural shock I saw coming here was definitely the lifestyle, because the lifestyle I saw of America, especially Los Angeles, was portrayed as a very rich lifestyle. And of course, I came here as a student, and coming here, living here, and seeing the reality of it, seeing different homeless people, disadvantaged people, was really a cultural shock for me, because I didn't expect to see that. And I guess also the way people were handling each other, because coming in as an African, I thought people were together. But since being here, I saw that there was a huge divide, or there is still a huge divide within the African American community themselves.
If he has,
I just want to add in, like, I kind of resonated with what she said, but for me personally, when I turned 18, I joined the military. And when I joined the military, at 18 years old, I had to work with all sorts of different races, and everybody worked together. I mean, people can have their opinions on whether or not the military is a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm just speaking from personal experience that when I went through there, it helped me learn how to mesh well with other races and work together to have a common goal. Let's see what
in South Africa, would he have the same opportunity that he had here?
No.
No.
Like, you know, so corporate is writing his check, but like us growing up, the reason we move here is because we don't have it better back home. Like me, like for me, I'm the first person ever in my family in America. Everybody else is back home. Everybody is depending on me. Like, all of them, my mom, she's dying to come here. Like, she willing to do anything just for her to be in America. So for me, when I look at those like little things, I'm like, yeah, American dream is for everybody, you know? Like, yeah, we might not have the same opportunity as the white people, but there's still that little chance that a lot of us back home are willing to take just to get here.
I trust law enforcement.
I don't have a thing to say.
All right, can the disagreeer step forward?
I think that's the first time I've ever seen Jubilee where nobody agreed with the prompt.
I got married to a young lady who did 15 years in prison for a robbery she didn't commit. I myself was incarcerated for 6 months for a burglary that I couldn't have committed because I was in prison. So in 1987, I'm doing 19 months in prison. When I came home in 1988, I was given a burglary charge and I had to sit 6 months. And the judge did not kick it out because there's no way I could have done it. He kicked it out because they didn't serve me the warrant while I was in prison. So I don't trust them. They lie and they do things and it affects our people. So many people I know who have been wrongfully arrested, wrongfully convicted, and they actually lie on the stand, so there's no trust.
As you guys know, I am from Richmond, Virginia. It was the capital of the Confederate. I have been brutally abused by the police there. Like personally, I was at the river on the 4th of July. I don't smoke. I don't do none of that. The police come and arrest me because I look like a drug dealer. Like they arrested me.
What? The stereotype.
Then when I was in high school, my senior year, my father went to jail over a car accident. And I was left alone at 17 years old. I was grateful. One of my teachers took me in and like raised me. I try to stay away from the police as much as possible.
First of all, they're human beings, and I think that just because you put a badge on doesn't magically bewitch you with like integrity and a desire to actually help the people around you. I think a lot of times police culture comes from police families. It comes from like legacy lines and this whole like kind of like culture about stuff. I mean, I don't trust them any more than I would trust any other person. They haven't earned that necessarily, especially not as an institution. In its purest form, I think it's necessary, but they have a lot of living up to that to do and to make up for if they're gonna be trusted.
I've seen law enforcement here on social media and seeing how they treat people of color, you know, from like hitting them. I mean, George Floyd, you know, rest in peace, but just seeing that from my experience being here, I was scared, you know, like every time I'd see a cop pass by, I'm like, okay, I better make sure I'm driving okay, you know, because I don't want to be stopped, or make sure you're not in any harm's way, you know. But it's sad to feel that pressure every time you see a cop going by. And even if they're trying to help, but I wouldn't even want that help because of what I've been seeing on social media, you know, and also seeing the case of people being wrongfully, you know, taken to prison. That's like unfair. Like, what type of research are you doing before you arrest people?
And I immediately thought about the history of the police too, just tracing that back to slave patrols, which became our modern day police departments. And
the fact that like if you have a felony, you can't vote. Like that to me is like, talk about the loss of the American dream. Like you are a citizen of this country, you should always have a right to vote.
We are obsessed with race in America.
I don't have my phone on me to scan that. Share your answer. We are obsessed with race in America. Yep, I'd agree. I go to the center.
I think that word obsessed is such an interesting word, and I think that the way that question is framed is almost as if it's like the onus is on us, like we're obsessed with race too much. Like, no, white people are obsessed with race in this country. They've made their laws based on it. They've cast us out because of it. They've like destroyed entire groups of people because of it. So, I mean, we're just living in the ripple effects of the stones that were cast in the pond of history. So we're just reacting to it. So we would rather just be human beings and American citizens and, you know, people that are pursuing an American dream. We'd rather not have to think about race, but that, we did not draw first blood on that.
what else do you expect?
Yeah, like, I
given the
mean,
history?
I'm not
Like,
obsessed.
For me, being in America give me an opportunity to like meet and like discover so many different culture that I would never see if I was in my country. I would just like maybe hear about it on the news. Yes, I agree. I think they are very obsessed with race. Even when you do like an easy application, like it doesn't matter what application you do, they want to know your race. They want to know, you know, why they don't have a category for Africans.
Exactly.
You know?
That's why I'm checking out every time.
They want to know everything.
The thing that pisses me off the most is that when they see you and they be like, oh, you have an accent. Where are you from? Like, who cares where I'm from? Just sell me this thing and let me keep going.
And then when you tell them that you're African, they be like, what country?
Yeah, they're so obsessed with where you're from.
You should be like Wakanda.
Like,
I don't believe that there's an obsession about race in America. I believe that race is a distraction to hide the power, the wealth, and the access to it. So a lot of times there's something put on the table like a rock being thrown and I hold my hand, and that's the racism between black and whites, between blacks and Hispanic, and other cultures have come here. We'll talk about race just so that we don't have access to the power and the wealth, and I think it's done on purpose. There's a power that allows us to talk about race if we don't look past it.
some of the question prompts that I see differently, and then when I hear somebody say it, I'm like, that actually makes sense coming from their perspective. So it's been really beautiful having this conversation with you guys. You guys are very knowledgeable, and I've learned a whole lot from each and every one of you today.
Going into this with like the title of the series, like African versus African American, I think that like people were gonna come in thinking that we were gonna be like guns blazing, but this is such a beautiful display of unity. I love it. It like gave me so much life today.
It was an interesting video. There was a lot of information given out. Yeah, I'm gonna try and do that ancestry thing. I gotta scrounge around for some money because YouTube ain't paying me. But yeah, it was good talks, good prompts. Yeah, what do you guys think? Drop a comment below. And if you're just gonna insult me, take care. Let's see. Go ahead and like this. Yep. I'll drop the video link in the description, but other than that, that's it for this video. Time to wrap it up. Let the music play. Make sure you like if you are liking these videos that I'm making. I know they're not the best, but yay, I'm a new YouTuber. Cut me some slack. Other than that, you know, drop a comment, drop a like, share the video, and I will see you next time. Peace.